So there.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
Why do you keep saying let us know your thoughts?
Let me know your thoughts to me is a nice lead-in for So there. So there.
Welcome to episode 58 of
So there.
I'm Gary Doyle.
And I'm Tom Karamitis.
Tom, our podcast today, I just want to say, is being heard in a number of countries around the world. If anybody doubts the reach of So There, we are, of course, heard in the U.S., but we also, according to our analytics, have listeners in, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
UK, Russia, Germany, Singapore, Mexico, Italy, Canada, France, Bulgaria, Spain, Belgium, Brazil, Chile, gotta catch my breath, Israel, India, Egypt, Ecuador, Romania, Colombia, Netherlands, and Vietnam.
Now, I would venture to guess that, like, some of those countries, they're just smitten with the quality of our voice and have no idea at all what we're talking about and don't understand a word we're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of like the reverse of groups like ABBA and the Scorpions don't speak a word of English, yet they sing these songs in English and they have no idea what the words are, but they just sing them. Rock you like a hurricane.
Still pretty impressive. In fact, I would say Gary and I are going to reach our hand out to the world and say, if you live in one of those non-USA countries, send us an email at sothere@yahoo.com and tell us, mostly, why the hell do you listen to our podcast?
Good one. Why do you listen to So There? Please write sothere@yahoo.com. And by the way, we have a viewer mail for the end of the episode, Tom.
Whoa.
A pretty epic one.
Whoa.
So, Tom, what's on your mind?
Well, I've got a couple of things today. They're all, unfortunately, kind of from the same thematic world. And I'll start with what I thought would be probably a really bad summer job, since it is July 1st and summer is upon us in full swing. And here's what I suggest. Here's the job I would suggest you consider. Maybe if you're a young college student looking for something to do over the summer, think of being a lab technician at Cologuard. All right. Cologuard is that product that tests for, what is it? I'm drawing a blank. The thing you colon cancer. Thank you.
Colon things.
Colon cancer. So what you do with Cologuard apparently is you send a little sample. All right. Without getting overly graphic, you send in a little sample. All right. And somebody at Cologuard theoretically unpacks the little, whenever you're sending in the little hermetically sealed bag, can you imagine all day long you're basically unpacking and testing human feces all day long?
And you can tell people you're in the medical field.
Exactly.
I work in the medical field. It's like the joke about the guy that cleans up the poop after the elephant in the circus, and he's like, yeah, I'm in showbiz. That would be a bad summer job.
No, we touched upon this a little bit in episode 57 when you were asking me if I was a putz or a schmeckle and I said one of my summer jobs is I sold shoes at a Florsheim store in Hackensack, New Jersey. And what summer jobs did Gary Doyle have?
My summer jobs makes your summer job seem like a investment banker intern. I washed dishes in restaurants. I was a busboy. I worked for a factory that made NFL jerseys, and I would have to lift the boxes and put them on top of shelves without any kind of help. It was all just manual labor. Probably my worst job was, I don't know why I had this job or why it was a job, but probably my worst job was a summer in my college, coming home from college. I worked at a Sheraton hotel in Indianapolis, and my job was to get to the hotel at 5 a.m., and the first thing I had to do was put a cup of coffee and a newspaper on every door of the hotel. Put it at the door for guests. And this was a big hotel, probably had 300 or 400 rooms. So imagine that, putting down a cup of coffee and a newspaper for hundreds of rooms in the morning. And then when I was done with that job would take a few hours. And then when I was done with that, for some reason, I don't know why I did this, but I would move mattresses from different rooms, from one room to the next. I'd move mattresses. That was the job. It was horrific.
Just like rotating, moving mattress from room A to room B and room B to room C, that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I don't know why I did it. Like I said, I don't even know why it was a job and why I was moving mattresses, but I would do that. Sometimes they were out of storage facilities. Sometimes they were from one room to the next. I don't know why. But that was a terrible job.
And that was, my guess was, did you have some king? I don't see how one person could move a king mattress. Were they queens and twins, or were they really big king-size mattresses?
I did, son. I did it, son.
Wow. Yeah, the other question I'd have about that whole process you had to do is, now you're giving coffee to everybody, but did these people ask for coffee, or?
I don't know why I did it. I don't know if they asked for coffee, but I did it. And I think of the repetitiveness, bending down, pouring the coffee, bending down, putting it down, repeat. Yeah, I don't know if they asked for it or not. I don't know. It's all lost to time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It probably, some exercise for you at least. Probably helped you bulk up. Gary Doyle bulked up over the summer thanks to his mattress toting. Probably became a chick magnet those years.
So true, Tom. So true. And it built character. So there. Tom, speaking of well-trodden territory and themes, I came across a new noun used as verb by an advertiser.
Wow.
Fresh material. Tom and I have talked incessantly about advertisers that have going on a good few years now, which is a long-lasting trend for advertising, right? I mean, this is a long-lasting trend of advertisers that use nouns as verbs. The best way to summer. The new one that I came up with was for Google, and the tagline was, a new way to cloud.
Wow. From Google, no less. Wow.
A new way to cloud. How do you cloud, Tom? I don't know how you cloud, but now there's a new way to cloud.
Not as good as the one you came up with last week for Club Cadet. Club your lawn.
Club it. And by the way, the mail we'll read later on does refer to that episode for those of you who forgot. So there.
Staying on my my number 2 theme for this week, I find the commercials for this product called Lume, Lume, kind of offensive and strange. Have you seen it? There's like this woman is kind of in your face. She's not made up in any way. She's just too close to the camera, and she's talking, frankly, too candidly about this product, which is, I guess, a deodorant that you put in places other than your underarms. And she's very upfront about where you put it. And I just find it so off-putting. Have you seen these commercials? Have you heard about this product?
No.
Lume, Lume. I'll say something. She says it in the commercial. She talks about putting it in your, she says, butt crack. I kid you not. And it's just, and she's right there in your face. And she's just, she looks like she's kind of sweaty and just kind of not like she didn't really dress up to be in the commercial or get made up in any way. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little too real for Tom Karamitis. Lume.
That's unpleasant. But I have seen ads, not for Lume, but I have seen ads that deal with unpleasant topics in a very forward way. It's a reflection of our society. There's no decorum anymore. There's no, barriers. There's none of that. It's all just let it out, put it out there. So advertising is a reflection of that, unfortunately.
So there.
Tom, I encounter many things in my life when I witness them, I wish that I was king. I wish that I was king of the world, and I could do something that we call
I decree.
I saw this the other day at work, and I know you have too. Everybody has. But it just made me think I would like to decree that no one shall do this anymore. So it was in the bathroom. I walked into the bathroom, and a man was at the urinal, and he was urinating, holding his, thing with one hand and holding his phone with the other and doing work on it. You know what I mean? Just kind of pecking away at the keyboard, and he's got his thing in his other hand, and he's just kind of, getting things done. And I'm like, I would like to decree that no man shall hold his thing in one hand and text in the other.
You see, I think he can take that skill and put it into his self-assessment when it comes time for review time, right? That's what a player he is. There's no such thing. When I'm at the office, son, there's no such thing as downtime, even for a moment.
That'd be one of those good interview questions. What's your biggest weakness? Well, I just can't stop thinking, working, communicating. Even when I'm urinating, I'm working and communicating and thinking. But you've seen these people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a bad look.
And I'll never ask to borrow their phone either.
Oh, exactly. So there.
I will build on to that a little bit with something else that I've kind of discovered. I'm a little ashamed. I will say I'm a little ashamed. In the restroom where I work, we have 4 stalls, one of which is a handicap stall. And I've kind of come to the decision that the handicap stall for me is kind of the equivalent of like getting upgraded to a suite at the hotel. You came in late, maybe they had they got a suite, so you got all this extra space. I think from the things you've talked about in the past, I think you should be a handicap stall man. You got more leg room, you could actually, if you wanted to set up a little table and chair and stuff in there if you wanted to. But I know you have issues with people taking the stall right next to you, and you feel like your feet are like 2 feet away from each other. think of the handicap stall. Now, I know we're going to get bombarded with letters, and Tom Karamitis is taking, a handicap stall away from somebody who uses it. The only thing I will say in my defense is there are very few people who really come to our office every day, and it's rare that I'll ever see even another person in the restroom when I'm in there. So I tend not to loiter. I go in there, I concentrate, and I'm out. Boom, boom. But I have found myself going to the handicap stall. I just like kind of spreading out a little bit,
It is the size of a small studio apartment. It's true. But don't you find that the seat is too high? It's a little bit higher than usual. Most handicapped, whether it's a handicapped stall or a handicapped hotel room, sometimes they give you those, I guess, accommodate, whatever they call it. But I find that the toilet seat is awkwardly high.
Yes, I will give you that. I find I have to alter my method a little bit, and sometimes I'm kind of on my toes a little bit. I'm sitting there, I don't want my legs to hang, so my toes are kind of, my tippy toes. I'm sitting there, So yeah, I have to adjust, but I'm a professional, try and rise above it.
This is getting as graphic as a Lumi commercial.
But I think you should try the handicap stall. I know now Gary Doyle is much more. I think Gary Doyle is much more politically attuned to sensitivities than Tom Karamitis is sometimes. And I think what would prevent you from using the handicap stall is the absolute legitimate concern that somebody might come into the restroom who needs the handicap stall. But maybe if you're there after hours one day, if you're there really early, you can try it on for size. I don't think you'll come back. So there.
Tom, we get many emails from listeners. That's a lie. We don't get very many. We get very few. But we got one recently from a listener named Ellie. And Ellie writes, and this is a fairly lengthy email, but it's I think a solid email. Dear Tom and Gary, and by the way, I don't like the Tom and Gary order.
I do.
But I'm just reading what she wrote. Dear Tom and Gary, congratulations, you've knocked it out of the park with your last episode. Listen to So There. Listen to it. Even a crusty Scot would agree. As a longtime fan, I can confidently say your last episode is a strong return to form. Because I'd fallen behind on my duties, shame, I listened to It's Ford Truck Month, Mr. Loaf, today as well. While I did love hearing Tom Karamitis admit I didn't answer your question, at this point I've forgotten what the question was, Loaf felt somewhat lacking in direction. Listen to it. Had strong momentum and fun for days. My thoughts are as follows. Gary's jokes about DeSantis' Echo sent me back to a fond, freezing, deep pandemic day in Boston where I listened to So There while pacing endlessly around the harbor and contemplating my mortality. At the time, Gary's joke about spookily disembodied echoes in Zoom rooms, you're muted, almost brought me back to life. You could say this Zoom joke of Gary's is a morsel I have cherished, kind of like a bite of a hot dog from a free sample platter at Costco. Number 2, Tom Karamitis plans to implement a preemptive flush. I am scornful. Is Tom Karamitis aware that every time a toilet flushes, a gallon of clean, treated water is wasted? Does he know that the world is heating past a tipping point, and pretty soon potable water will become a precious resource? This viewer would like a word. It is almost as bad as his previous claim that it is okay to recline your plane seat on a woman, but you should courteously refrain if you are seated in front of a man with long legs.
By the way, let me stop you there quickly. I didn't say a woman. I said if you're in front of a small child is what I said. All right, just to be clear. So there.
Listeners can go back and check the episode. Number 3, etiquette says you put the seat down for courtesy. Jim Carrey even makes a joke about this in a movie where he trains his dog to use the toilet. Seat down, Sam. There are ladies present. Number 4, I cannot be the only listener who thought maybe the lady who chose the swim lane closest to Gary Doyle was actually hitting on him. She was trying to make a love connection.
Ooh.
Distant swimmers need love too.
Ooh.
I highly doubt that, Ellie. Number 5, it's only worth it if you enjoy it. Gives me shivers deep in my bones. I don't know why, but I'm happy the ridiculousness of this tagline has been exposed for an international audience. And we do have an international audience, Ellie. Number 6, and this is the last point, I personally feel like a schmuck in hotel lobbies before I've checked in, or more often when I don't intend to check in at all, but instead sit on my laptop happily sponging off free air conditioning and Wi-Fi. Fortunately, when a hotel concierge spots me being a schmuck, they don't hesitate to suggest that I leave the premises, as the feeling of schmuckiness never lasts long. Overall, it was a pleasure to hear Gary and Tom. Now, she got the order right that time. Gary and Tom having a great time. The best part of any episode is when one of you is laughing too hard to finish a sentence. The best part of this episode is when Gary made the sound of a person who's waving their hands helplessly under a motion-activated tap while waiting for the water to come out. Girl! That's how she spelled it. I remain your most devoted fan, fondly, Ellie.
You know what? That piece of viewer mail was incredible. I mean, that could be a college dissertation. That could be like a master's thesis.
It's better than some of the theses that I have come across in my teaching.
Is it
with my students? Frankly,
is it thesi?
Thesi. Yeah, it's actually higher quality.
I would put this listener in the Hall of Fame of letter writers to us, alongside Mr. Alan Spindle, who's also written us some wonderful viewer mail over the years.
Rarefied air.
Well, and that's despite this letter writer telling me, taking me to task for the preemptive flush. All right, I'm just saying, sometimes you have to weigh the worsening climate crisis against your own, safeguards of your own health, right? I mean, look at it this way.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I personally think that's the best point of the email. Excellent point.
Of course, because it was a knock on me, and the rest of the letter was just praising Gary Doyle's genius.
So there.
Well, Gary, a spirited 28 minutes has come to a close, and
swirling down the drain like one of Tom's preemptive flushes.
I promised in the next episode to get out of the bathroom, but I partially blame Gary Doyle for bringing me into the bathroom in the first place with his obsession about people occupying stalls right next to him or waving his hands under the motion-activated faucet. It just, you triggered me, all right? It's near and dear to my heart as well. So until next time, for Gary Doyle, this is Tom Karamidas saying, so there.